It feels like, with Putin knocking on the door, sort of democratic deficit and growing scepticism of the European Union, that the state of the Union is quite grim. Is that a fair thing to say?
I think certainly from what we've been hearing, there are an awful lot of concerns, and the fact that there is a lack of sort of common purpose, a deficit in the idea of what being a European citizen means, the sort of very strong national interests. If you just look at it in that particular light, yes, it is quite depressing, and there are a lot of concerns for Europe, a lot of challenges for Europe.
And where can we go from here when we're talking about these things? We can diagnose the problems forever, and we can invite journalists to talk to professors. But what can we do to try and kick this discussion further down the road towards some positive solutions?
Well, I think one of the most important things is that, these are only theories. A lot of these are only theories. These are, yes, we learn a lot from history and we can see a lot of the issues, but we still are Europe and we still are together, and we're all recognizing these problems. If we can actually put them out there in the open, something can be done about them. And I think that's what's very interesting about the discussions that we're having here. It is trying to identify the problems, and as I think one of the speakers said earlier today, it's sort of to look in an unflinching manner at these problems and to be able to consider the bold and innovative solutions to them. Hopefully that's the lesson that people will take away from this.
Okay, so if we talk about hope, we say 11 years ago we had this much more optimistic mood where we expanded east very quickly, and before that we introduced this monetary union. Can you foresee, or is it beyond now even the possibilities of our imagination to go back to a period of optimism like that?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with re-inspiring the next generation about the European project, and I think that's where this whole question about the sort of democratic deficit that we have at the moment, the sense of what does it mean to be a European citizen, we have to actually re-inspire people to believe in that project. I certainly do. I think it's hugely important and been hugely important, as we all know, in terms of ensuring peace and stability, and the idea that my children can't even envisage any kind of a war with any of the European member states, that's a huge achievement. That wouldn't 100 years ago, who would have thought that? So I think it is possible, but it takes an awful lot of work, will, and inspirational leadership.
And perhaps some sort of unifying myth, some sort of vision that we lack compared to the Americans, I suppose.
Well, remember, America is a lot older than the European Union. It takes time. And it takes time for, I don't think that we will ever lose the idea of individual nation states and our own cultures, and that's really important. But, you have to give the European Union time. These sorts of things don't happen overnight. The real issue is, well, it's not the only issue, it's one of the big issues, is to have inspirational leaders, even at nation-state level, who believe in the European project, even if it needs reform, but who do believe in it.
This might be a case of institutional endurance.
Institutional endurance and leadership, both at the nation-state level and at the European level.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.